Throughout this convention, Donald Trump's family has been addressing this GOP convention to reveal the personal side of the nominee. In the middle of the week, his son, Eric, took the stage.
A year ago, my father was a businessman, but like many Americans, he simply could no longer stand to see what was happening to our great country. He could no longer stand to see the words Christmas stripped from public use or the Pledge of Allegiance removed from our schools in an effort to be politically correct.
And I am joined on set by Donald Trump's son, Eric. Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here.
Pleasure.
Yeah, really excited.
Now, we heard your comments there about your dad. It is reported that you and your siblings are his greatest advisors.
Yeah.
What is your advice to him now at this point in the campaign,
well, actually,
coming out of this convention?
I hate the word advisor, right? We're not advisors, we're his kids. We're an incredibly close family. I love the man tremendously. He's my best friend in the world. And, you know, we always have a seat at the table because, again, of a very, very close family relationship. So do we know anything about politics? No. But are we common sense people? Yes. Do we love the man? Yes. Do we always want to steer him in the right direction and help in any way we can? Yes. That's what you do for people you love. And that's what we try and do.
Okay, so you're really running this campaign by the gut, like your father?
No, he's really running the campaign. But if we can interject in some way, if we can help him, if I can get out on stage and talk about the great man that he is, I want to do that. I'm his son. I want to be by his side, and I just love him tremendously.
We have to talk quickly about his comments about NATO. He said he would hold our allies under condition. He checked to make sure they were making their contribution. So it's a conditional help for the allies. What did he mean by that? It disturbed a lot of people.
You know, one thing that disturbed my father crazy, not just in terms of NATO, but in terms of bad trade deals and everything else, is, you know, everything we do as a country, we contribute disproportionately. You know, we finance 90% of NATO or 85% of NATO. You have so many other countries in there, they're paying nothing, they're not sending troops, they're not funding anything, and all of that's falling on the backs of taxpayers. So, you know, if people are in NATO, why aren't they contributing their fair share? Now, that's not to say that America might not pick up the vast majority because we're a very big country and we're a powerful country and we're a rich country, but everybody should have to contribute equally. And when people fail to do that, but they still expect the protection, I think that bothers my father. You know, everybody has to pay into the system, and it's got to work for everybody. America can't just fund the police force for the entire world. And, you know, he says the same thing about the trade deals. We need good trade deals. We've got to stop getting ripped off as a country. I mean, his message is America first, and unless we're respected, unless people pay in, we'll never be solvent as a country.
I want to talk about a report this week that John Kasich, his advisors, talked to members of your team, and according to the report, he was told, do you want to be the most powerful VP in history? You'll be in charge of foreign and domestic policy. And they said, well, what would Donald Trump do? And they said, well, he'll make America great again. Is that a valid report? Is that what was said?
It's so ridiculous. I saw that. If you're in charge of foreign domestic policy, what else is there? I mean, it was really insane. It was foolish. I don't know where they got those quotes.
Well, given the way that I know Donald Trump runs his companies, with his kids checking everything,
believe me,
that seemed an odd report.
He's the boss, and he's an amazing leader, and he certainly wants a VP in this reason he picked Pence, somebody who's immensely capable, somebody who's immensely talented, has done all these things. You know, Pence has an incredible track record. He has a $2 billion surplus in his state. When was the last time you had a $2 billion surplus in any state? I think if you look at New York, I think, you know, the deficits that we run is exploding. So, I mean, he's done everything well, from education to infrastructure to employment of vets to that surplus. I mean, he's done everything well, and I think that's what my father values in a VP.
I was behind your box last night while Ted Cruz was talking, just a few rows back. I couldn't see your faces. What were you thinking? There you are with your sibling. Your father comes in the middle of the speech. Ted Cruz never gives his endorsement. You're thinking what, as his son?
I was actually right behind Ted Cruz because I was about to come out on stage. I was about to go on stage 2 minutes later.
That's right, your other siblings.
So I'm behind the stage, and all I hear is Trump, Trump, Trump. They're chanting Trump. It was wild. It was an amazing feeling for me. And so you're like, oh, this is a build-up, and he's going to come out, and he's going to say something.
He's going to give the endorsement.
And he never does. And this entire arena with 22,000 people literally just started booing. And I mean, I've never heard boos that were that loud. So it was a shame that he did, and I think it was pretty classless that he did. And he literally got booed out of this arena by, you know, really some of the best Republicans in the land.
Is there unity here? I mean, I've heard some say, I think your father said, the fact that you heard that response to Ted Cruz demonstrates there is a new unity here. Is that how you see it?
100%. I've been saying that nonstop. I mean, you see my father, and you see the cheers he gets, and you see the cheers he's going to get in a minute when he comes out of those doors. There is incredible unity. And listen, the fact they got 14 million votes, the most votes of any Republican in the history of this country, shows that there's amazing unity. He wouldn't have gotten 14 million votes if there wasn't. So he's growing the party in a way that no Republican has ever done before. And quite frankly, under Hillary, you know this, voter turnout's down by 30%. So, she's not exactly doing wonders for that.
When you were backstage and you heard these people yell out, honor your pledge, honor your pledge, Ted Cruz today said, your father abrogated that pledge when he attacked his wife and his father. You would say what to him?
Well, listen, he goes around talking about how he's a constitutionalist and he believes in following contracts to the letter of the law, and then he doesn't honor a basic pledge. And by the way, during the primary process, a lot of things are said. A lot of things are said about a lot of people, including us and including so many other people. I mean, that's the nature of battling through a political fight. So you can't put that much credence on a statement like that. I mean, the reality is he signed a pledge. He should have honored the pledge. At the end of the day, by not having Ted Cruz, we won't get one more vote or one less vote, right? I mean, it means absolutely nothing to us, but it was just really interesting to see this room's reaction because they did not take kindly to the way he approached that.
In your speech last night, you mentioned that saying Merry Christmas was important to your father, a respect for the Pledge of Allegiance. What would you say to people? How important was faith in your upbringing and to your father and you and the rest of your family today?
Tremendously. I went to a Catholic school. I went to church every week, multiple times a week. I mean, I think it's really important, but it's not just Christianity, right? I think it's all religions. It's ridiculous. If you can't say, Merry Christmas, if you can't talk about the Christmas tree, they start calling it the holiday bush. Can't talk about Christmas tree. Why can't you call it a Christmas tree? And why can't you call, a menorah? I mean, it's these are staples. Why can't you say God? Well, why can't you have in God we trust? Why can't you say the Pledge of Allegiance? How does a Pledge of Allegiance offend anybody? I mean, it's unbelievable. And, the one thing about my father is he won't put up with this political nonsense. And that's all it is. It's a very, very small group of people who are so offended by this. It's ridiculous. It's not indicative of the general population. It's just a lot of people. It's just a small group of people who decide to make a lot of noise. But I can tell you under a Trump administration, there will be none of that nonsense.
Before I let you go, it is reported that you and your siblings had a big hand in shaping the big speech that your father gave at this convention. Is that report true? How involved were you?
We were a little bit involved, but really it was my father's speech. I mean that sincerely. It's his speech, it's his message, it's his platform, and if we can help wordsmith something or we can make suggestions, we always do. It was his speech. I mean, he put a lot of work into it and a lot of time into it, and he really he loves the final product.
Someone in the apparatus here at the GOP leaked the speech early to a Hillary super PAC. It's been released before he even offered it on the floor. Some are saying this is emblematic of a convention runaway, that it's gotten away from you all. You would say what?
I haven't seen it if that's the case. If they did in the last 20 minutes or hour,
then around 6 o'clock this evening.
6 o'clock, listen, I know nothing about it.
Okay.
So.
How does he pull this out?
Well, listen, there's a lot of people that have fingers in everything, right? I mean, you have teleprompter people, and you have this, and you have that. I mean, there's
copyists and people running all over.
Listen, you look at a place this size, it almost doesn't surprise you. It's almost surprising that this stuff doesn't happen more often. With these people aren't people that are, on our teams. I mean, there are a million people that are part of conventions like this and part of other parties and part of other things. I mean, it's actually shocking that stuff doesn't happen more often.
How does your dad close the gap for those undecided voters? What's the final closing argument that you would offer to them?
Listen, jobs, national security. You look at inner cities, in this country, they have 60% unemployment for, minority youth. We're going to have crime if that happens. We're going to have real problems. People need opportunity. People want to live the American dream. You can't do that when you have 60% unemployment. You need safety. People need to feel safe in their homes. They need to feel safe in their countries. They need to know that, they're not going to have more Orlandos or, nieces. Or, it's people want to be safe. They want to be secure. They want to have a great job. They want great family structure. They want a country that's solvent. They want people to be taken care of in their country, like military vets. They want great education. We're 30th in the world in terms of education right now. There's a lot of things that we've got to expand on. We need jobs back. We need industry back. We need manufacturing back. We've got to put people in this country back to work. We have 100 million people in the workforce that are out of work, and we've got to change that. We've got to change that.
Eric Trump, I thank you for being here and for making the show great again.
Thank you. I really appreciate being with you, as always.
Thank you.